Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a journey of investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. The objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for little as $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at MMTLP with updates from one of the significant whale investors, and we also looked at the procedure with regard to S1 approval, and in today's video we're also going to be looking at speculation with regard to the float, so stay tuned for that. There's also going to be an update from one of the whale investors from yesterday with some further developments, and I'm also going to be sharing with you my preferred buyer for NextBridge, so stay tuned for that. So before we have a look at that, let's have a quick look at market news, and we can see a headline here in terms of the market: higher rates boost volatility. So in terms of the market overall, there was a little bit of a rally, close of play on the Friday. However, the S&P 500 was still down approximately 3% on the week, and what we can also see is last week there was a fourth consecutive 75 basis point interest rate hike from the Fed, and obviously that's never seen as good news from the market point of view. So jobs data on Friday also painted a mixed picture in terms of the US economy. We're looking at an added 261,000 non-farm payrolls, and also unemployment rate came in higher at 3.7%. so going forward I think we're still going to see a little bit of volatility, so we do need to trade with care. Let's start by having a look at how MMTLP has been doing recently. So on the screen here you'll be able to see the chart for the previous 6 months, and we can see over the previous 6 months it is up close to 500%. But what we can also see here in what I've stated in the post is without S1 approval we are close to 280% up on the month. We're up nearly 500% of the previous 6 months. So what is likely to happen after S1 approval? So what the key difference will be that the shorts will be under pressure. Shorts will be forced to cover. The brokers will have no choice, and I think we're going to see a very significant price momentum going up. And now I'd like to give a shout out to the Meta support channel, and with regard to this post here, and that was in terms of the Permian and a takeover in terms of multinationals operating in the Permian. So there is a debate here ongoing between is the likely buyer going to be Oxy or is it going to be Exxon? So we're going to have a look at that shortly. So before we do that, let's have a look at some of this news that was shared. So a headline here is the Permian takeover, multinationals in the Permian Basin. So let's have a look at the companies involved. So this has attracted a significant number of US companies as well as international companies, and in terms of the key players here, we're looking at ExxonMobil, we're looking at Occidental, we're looking at Chevron, and we're also looking at ConocoPhilips. So these are significant players. We also have overseas ones such as BP and Shell, so certainly an area in high demand. So before we look at a list of potential buyers, I'm going to share with you now, based on estimates from the Bird Lady and also Tony from Market Moves, in terms of an estimated valuation for NextBridge. So this is based purely on let's say, for example, the median figure in terms of oil. So we're looking at 3.2 billion barrels of oil, and we're also now going to look at a potential estimate also for the gas. So if we just take the oil, we're looking at a valuation estimated around about $10.8 billion. With the gas, it could be around about $12 billion. So again, that's the speculated figure. So first of all, now let's have a look at the companies. First figure company here we're going to look at that is a candidate is Chevron. So let's have a look at a quick profile of Chevron. Chevron is a huge player. They have operations in North America, South America, also Asia, Africa and Australia, and through the US. It is one of the legacy companies and active in the Permian since the 1920s. So it is also one of the largest oil and gas producers, and it currently holds in the Permian approximately 2.2 million net acres, and 75% of them have also got low on virtually no royalty payments. So very strong profile here. It also has a history of acquisitions, having taken over Noble Energy, October 2020, and that strengthens its Permian position. So definitely a prime candidate here. Second company I'm going to look at is ExxonMobil, also known as ticker symbol XOM, and these acquired XTO Energy in 2010. So XTO Energy is also one to be aware of, and the Exxon have more operations in Brazil, Guyana, and also the Permian. So this is something that is regarded as a key asset, and it's also looking to maximize the value and acreage position through this area through technology and integration. So what we mean by integration is obviously acquiring more companies and more assets. So the Permian Basin is obviously looking to grow in terms of the company. They're looking at production in the Permian to grow by 130,000 barrels of oil per day versus the first half of 2021. And obviously this growth is going to be expected to continue in the second quarter of 2022, which we will be seeing right now. And obviously they're also stated here from the CEO, they're looking at 25% production growth for the second consecutive year. But what I think is also interesting here at the bottom, Exxon is looking to grow Permian free cash and retain development pace optionality, and they're forecasting average Permian production to exceed 800,000 barrels of oil per day, with free cash potentially exceeding $5 billion. So very, very promising there. And in the final part of this profile that we're going to look at, and this is in terms of something that was recently stated, and that is they're also looking at achieving net zero scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. So the company is also looking at drilling, completions, operations, purchasing power, and also renewable energy. So this is one of the key major players in the area. The next company we're going to focus on is Oxy. So this is a Houston-based organization, which also having operations in Oman, United Arab Emirates, and also quite interestingly the Permian. So in terms of the Permian, they're looking at currently having approximately 2.8 million net acres, and the other information that we can see here in terms of the production in the Permian, this average approximately 493,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day compared to 487,000 in 2021, so a little bit down. But other interesting news here is in terms of 2022, the company have allocated $1.7 billion to $1.9 billion, or approximately 50% of its capex to the Permian. So it does see it as a priority. And finally, other information with regard to the company, they have also recently agreed to enhance the Midland Basin and expand their partnership to cover approximately 20,000 net acres in the Delaware, which includes 17,000 acres in Texas. So the company is active and it is there, but one of my main concerns with Oxy is I don't believe they have a significant amount of cash available for potentially acquiring NextBridge, because NextBridge, if we look at the valuation that was stated, we're looking at in excess of $10 billion, and I do think that what might be a little bit of a stretch too far for Oxy. The final company I'm going to look at is ConocoPhilips. So this is also a company that is operating in Asia, Pacific, Europe, Middle East, North Africa, Alaska, Canada, and the lower 48. So this is also a company that's looking to acquire and increase its position in the Permian, currently holding approximately 1.5 million net acres. In terms of its net production, 2021 was approximately 442,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day. So it is a major player in terms of the assets. These include 225,000 net acres with properties entirely in Texas. So it is a major player. Other information that we can see about Conoco, second quarter of 2022, which is right now, we're looking at in terms of the assets averaging approximately 634,000 equivalent barrels of oil per day, and the growth is expected to be half weighted and grow at the higher end of a mid to high single digit growth rate. So in terms of the company overall, it holds 709,000 total net acres across West Texas. So it is a candidate. However, compared to Exxon, I think this is certainly ahead of Oxy, but in my opinion so far currently behind Exxon. In terms of a quick conclusion, look at the four companies: Exxon, Oxy, ConocoPhillips and Chevron. My preferred choice would be ExxonMobil. One of the key reasons for this is they are looking to grow in the Permian. They've also announced significant plans for oil and gas production to be increased. And the other key reason is in terms of potential valuation of NextBridge in excess of $10 billion. That price would be easily manageable from ExxonMobil. I think players such as Oxy would not be in a position to acquire that easily, and I think the other players that would certainly be behind Exxon. So my preferred choice for NextBridge would be Exxon. So before we look at speculation with regards to the float, a quick update on the previous video where we looked at William Stewart, the second largest holder of MMTLP, currently approximately 17 million shares. So one of the key updates is he has now managed to increase his sell limit order to $385, and he's done that for all 17 million shares. So that does not necessarily mean he's going to be selling them all at $385, but what that basically means, the brokers will know that he has those shares, and the brokers will also know that if they want them, that is the price that they are available for. So we know that shares will have to cover, they will be forced to cover, and they will be looking for shares. So he has made them available to see, and they've also got the message in terms of what they need to do if they want them. The other thing, in terms of a quick update, there have been getting a number of bears and fuzzsters who've speculated with regard to the 5% ownership. So a quick update from William regarding that is that these are held in 13 different accounts. So if you remember in the previous screenshot that I shared with you, this was also clarified. So the 13 different accounts across the William Stewart family and conglomerates. So there is no single beneficial ownership in excess of 5%. And those of you who will know about the SEC and will know about the financial regulations will know that the broker, once the broker is aware that you have more than 5%, they will require you to fill in the appropriate registration. So all legal proceedings have been complied with, and there is no issues there for anybody to worry about. So let's now have a look at some speculation with regard to the float. So this, first of all, is a poll that I carried out earlier today. So let's have a look at the results of the poll. So the question here is, the following data could be useful with regard to how many shares have been transferred with AST. So the overall responses from 630 votes are 55.2% zero. So what that basically means, everybody who has responded to that question are using all of their shares as potentially being able to be traded in any run-up. So the next one is 19% people with between 1 and 10,000 shares have been transferred over to NextBridge. 10% of people said they've transferred between 10 and 50,000, and 15% have stated that they transferred in excess of 50,000. So this is not going to give us any accurate specific figures in terms of what the actual true situation is. I think we are going to make some contact and try and get more accurate information for this hopefully later on, and bring you that shortly as well. But this is just to give us a guide. So on the screen here you'll be able to see, using some of that information and other information that we have, we're looking at a speculative float breakdown. So first of all, we know the top 4 whale OGs. We have John Berder, we have Greg McCabe, we have William and David. So their total acquisition, with the increasing in their total holdings, now amounts to approximately 30%. So using the information with regard to people who may have moved over their shares with the AST, we're also looking at brokers not allowing trades, and also people in Europe who have not been allowed to sell or buy. So this could represent approximately 30%. And then if we do an estimate with regard to the longs and OGs, maybe yourself could be one of these, we could speculate that's between 20 and 30% of the float. Then you have people who are being encouraged to swing trade this. That could be 10 and 20%. And the other factor in here just to throw into the mix is synthetic shares. So these are going to be unknown. We don't know what percentage or amount these are, so it's highly speculative for that, but that is certainly going to make the situation very, very difficult and also very interesting. So the conclusion is, for the shorts, after S1 approval, the only thing we can say to them is good luck, you're going to need it. And finally, if you'd like to get access to our weekly watch list, which will be made available to Discord members prior to trading on the Monday, you can certainly consider joining us. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.